Hello, hello, hello. This is Coach McCarthy. We are going to start a new unit, and in this unit, we're going to be talking about price. So, we've talked about the other three P's, and price is the last one. So, when we talk about price, this is the easiest of the four P's that we talk about to change. The reason being, it doesn't take a lot to change the price of a product. You change the number on the display, make a phone call to wherever it's being sold, and change the price. It's a lot harder to change the promotion because you have to come up with new ways to do it. You have to design everything. We've talked about if you're going to come up with a new product, well, you have to design the product, research and design. And if you're going to be selling it to a new place, well, you got to figure out exactly how you're going to get that product there or how it's going to be shipped out. So price is simple. It can already be there. You just call the store, hey, I want $5 for that instead of 6. So all it takes is really a phone call or an email message to get that done. So when we talk about price, a lot of what we relate that to is referring to the value that is put for a product. So when we pay for something with our money, we're paying that price, we assume or we want our product to be that valuable. So if you pay $1,000 for your Louis Vuitton shirt, you think your Louis Vuitton shirt is worth $1,000 because that's what you paid for. And that's not always the case, and it may be a lot of times, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about price perception and things like that. But for a lot of us, that is how we put a value on something. And we talk about price, easy definition, the actual amount the end user is expected to pay for a product. So we've talked about product and we talked about place and how it gets there, and you have to pay for it. We talked about if you live in Kansas and you want fresh seafood, well, you're going to have to pay for it. That increase, that's going to be the price. So the shipping to get it from Massachusetts or wherever they're getting their fresh lobster out to Kansas, you have to pay for everything in between. You have to pay for all those intermediaries that you're using, and those are going to make the price go up because someone has to pay for it. The next one that we have, how a product is priced will directly affect how it sells. Well, of course, if you price it too high, nobody's going to want to buy it. If something is priced too low, we have a perception that items that are priced low might be cheaply made. So you have to find that happy medium when you start talking about how you're going to set your price and what your price point is going to be, because it will impact and affect how it sells. And the last one we have with price, it depends on a lot of things. Cost of production, and we'll talk about this some more. That's probably the most impactful thing on the price because we talked about cost of goods sold and cost of production. You have to be able to cover what it took to make it. If it took $4 to make it, you can't sell it for less than 4. You won't make any money. The segment that's targeted, so we talk about that a little bit in place and promotion. Ability of the market to pay. You can't charge $5 if people can only pay $2 for it. Supply and demand, so that's probably maybe the number 2 when we talk about price. Do people want it? Is there demand for it? How much of it is out there? And a host of other direct and indirect factors. I would say the most impactful thing on price is cost of production or cost of goods sold. However you want to look at it and however you want to word it, you have to sell something for more than it costs to make it. Otherwise, you're not making a profit. And the last one, pricing can also be used as a demarcation to differentiate and enhance the image of a product. So that's kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier. You can make your product more expensive than everyone else's, and people might think it's a better quality because it's more expensive. When in all reality, it could be less quality. You're just charging more. In the United States, and I think pretty much across the world, we have this perception that if something is more expensive, it must be nicer. All right, oh, this is a better product. It's put together better because it costs more. Not always the case, but we can use price to separate ourselves from our competitors and our competition. And we talked about this a few minutes ago of how we put value in a product. So customers often do not judge values and costs accurately or objectively. No, unfortunately, we do not. All right. They act on a perceived value, and a lot of us do. We have a perception of what something is worth, and that's what we're willing to pay for it. Most perception in the United States comes from various media outlets, and I believe that is true, especially now with social media, where we're getting influence from all those people about what we should like or what we should value, what we should want to buy. You need to go buy this if you want to be one of the cool people, or whatever that phrase may be, or however you want to look at it. That's that perception. Someone is telling us that that product is value. Okay, that Louis Vuitton shirt is worth $1,000 because somebody on social media said it was nice and somebody said it was worth that. Is it? That might be up to you. I personally don't think it is, but you might think that is a value in that product. And the last one that here at the end, do relationships carry any value? And I think they do. When you start building a relationship with someone, especially with a salesperson, as you guys are growing up, you might start buying a car. You might strike up a good relationship with a salesperson. You might be wanting to spend some money with them. So there is some value in that. We talked about sales promotions and having a salesman, and that can help because you can build a relationship with that person and then maybe build a relationship ongoing with that company. And we talked about that that's what the company is looking for. Whoever's making that product, they want you to like their company and to hold them in high esteem. And I believe this is going to be the last one for today. We talk about price perception. So, in some product categories, a consumer will form a perception about its quality and relevance as soon as they see the price. So, this is what we were talking about, or what I was talking about earlier. If everything else is $50 and we find an item for $30, for a lot of us, our first impression is it's cheaper, it's made cheaper, and the quality is not as good. And that's why it's $30. When in all reality, maybe they just got a better deal on their products. Maybe their shipment was better. There's a lot of things that go into figuring out that price. So that might not always be the case. Now, is it? Maybe most of the time, but not always. You do have to make sure you do your research. We can't always associate price and quality together. This is linked to what the perceived value of the product is to the consumer rather than objective costing of the product to offer. So we have this perception that this isn't any good because it costs less. If a product is priced higher or lower than its perceived value, then it will not sell. Exactly. If I perceive that this is only worth $50 and you're charging 90 for it, I'm not going to buy it. Okay. I don't care how nice it is or what it's going to do. I don't have the money. I'm not interested in spending that much money. So you have to be very careful with price because you can separate your buyers. You have to find that happy medium. All right. You don't want it too low because you don't want people to think it's bad quality, and you don't want it too high that nobody can afford it. There's always a danger that the first impression triggered by the price point will either make the rest of the offering irrelevant or it will be a biased assessment. I think this is true. And I think we do look at prices, and I'm very bad about this. My wife loves to go, like most wives and most women, unfortunately for us men, like to go shopping for clothes. Okay, I'm not big into clothes or fashion or anything like that. I know some of you are, and she'll grab a dress and or shirt, whatever it may be, and she'll ask me, "Do I like it?" Unfortunately, my first response is normally, "How much does it cost?" Okay, because I might like it, but if it's $40, I don't really know if I like it that much for $40. And that's not everybody's like that. I do make a lot of decisions based on price, just from trying to keep in line with our budget and everything else. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with price perception, right? Some people might look at the price and that's all they're going to look at. Some people might look at the quality and say, okay, well, since it has quality, it might be worth it. All right, everybody looks at things a little bit different. All right, and then the last one I believe for this slide, eventually the decision to buy or not may be based on the perceived value of the entire product or marketing mix offering. Again, our perception of what something is worth. Is it worth $50? Maybe not for me, but maybe for you it is. Okay, so you got to try and find that happy medium where we're not priced too high, we're not priced too low, and we don't want to run people away because maybe our price is right that we've covered all of our costs, but it's just not right for everybody. All right. So be careful with price because you can scare people away. And normally that is the first thing we see when we look at a product is its price.